Hi there YouTube, this is the Magnus, bringing you another Total War Warhammer online ladder battle. This time my opponent chose the Empire, and again I went for the challenge and took the Warriors of Chaos. And this is a new build I've put together to try to take on the Empire. I've got a Hell Cannon ranked up twice, 2 of the Chaos Warhounds with poison ranked up twice, 4 chosen, 3 Chaos Warriors with halberds, and Archaon the Ever-Chosen. And taking a look at my opponent's army, he's got 2 of the Reichsguard. He's got 2 swordsmen. Excuse me. He also has 4 great swords, 2 handgunners, and 2 spearmen in the back. And he also has 2 of the Empire captains on horseback and a general of the Empire on horseback, and they've got these got some potions on them. So, looking at his army at the beginning of the battle, I was a little bit intimidated because the handgunners and the great swords are both great choices for an armor-heavy chaos army, and the Reichsguard, due to me not really having cost-effective cav, I didn't bring them. So that seemed like an advantage as well. Also that he has 2 heroes with potions, and I just have Archaon all by his lonesome. So I was a little intimidated, but I built this army with the expectation of fighting this sort of chaos versus empire battle. So I do have the high ground. It makes for a little bit of complication with the firing of my artillery, but because of this mound here, see, if you take a look, you can't quite see the cannon until you get back to about here. So it makes for an unusual firing arc, but I'm sure we'll get some good hits in. Just not those 2. So he's advancing. He also sends his cav up along my left flank, and because of that, I'm going to have to bring out the Warhounds because I don't want them to get ran over by his cav. I also moved 2 of my halberds over here to the side to help protect that. And as he comes up the hill, I'm just going to continue to fire. And there we get a good shot. Knock out a decent bit of the handgunners there, darn near half of their health, and get a hit on the great swords. And that racks up 25 kills, so very pleased with that. The Hell Cannon fires again, and it hits these great swords behind and puts a big dent in them. And you'll see I'm changing targets on it to get as much damage done as possible. And that one misses but hits the spearman behind. And when you have multiple layers of infantry like this, you do run that risk. Whereas if you're stretched out in one long line, it's much less likely to occur. So I'm going to countercharge as his men approach. So here we have swordsmen going up against chosen. That shouldn't be much of a match, and as you can see, they take a ton of damage right out the gate. Here we have more chosen going up against swordsmen. Again, heavily in my favor, but he's going to send in his Empire captains to help balance things out, so to speak. Get a nice point-blank shot there with the Hell Cannon as his great swords come into another unit of chosen. I see he brings up his Empire captain, so I bring up Archaon. And if you look at him, I have the 2 buff spells. I don't have any offensive stuff, but I also have all of his abilities. Now, I don't know what spell he just hit my cannon with, but it destroyed it in one shot, or what did that, some sort of a misfire. I'm not sure, because he doesn't have any spellcaster, so I don't know what could cause that cannon to spike like that. So that was very unfortunate, but we're engaged all across the board here, except for his cav, which he's crept along here through the forest, and now is going to try to swing around to my rear. At the same time, I'm looking to get these guys in the rear of his infantry and swing both the Warhounds around to take care of these handgunners. So he keeps moving his cav over to avoid the halberds that I've left parked over there to deal with him. The ones I had on the right flank, I went ahead and committed because I did not see him having any cav on this side, so I used them to help fight there. These chosen here are quite outnumbered, but he has his guys kind of balled up, so it's not hurting as bad as it should. This is going to hurt though. My chosen take it right in the back from the Reichsguard. And then the same thing here. So I'm reacting as quickly as possible to get halberds into those cavalry. And as you can see, the Chaos Warhounds with poison made quick work of the handgunners. And then I'll be pulling them back in once I'm sure they won't be coming back. These great swords were broke, so now I can bring that unit back into the fight. Sorry, got a little lost in the battlefield there. And now I'm using the poisoned hounds to wear down the Reichsguard. The poison's going to slow them down. It's going to do damage to them as well. And with the 2 chevrons, they have a little more punch than usual, and they're going to be able to scare those guys off. Here I have my cannon crew fighting with my infantry, so you're going to see some Chaos Dwarfs up in the mix. Over here, still fighting with my Chosen. Chosen are very beat up at this point, but they are not going to flee. They're tough competitors. Archaon now is working on this Empire Captain because I want to get rid of his leadership. I did a pretty good number on the General of the Empire, but he's coming back. And every chance I'm getting, I'm using Archaon's abilities and buffs. And that's the thing I like about bringing Archaon, is I've tested this. He can take on a Lord of Chaos one-on-one, even with a healing potion, he can kill him. So he's very good melee combatant. But he also can do the fire sorcerer's job of spell casting, and having them all in one guy is a bit of a risk, but the advantage is I'm actually saving money and getting a better fighter and just as good of a spellcaster for all practical purposes. Now you're going to see the General of the Empire is popping all of his abilities here, trying to survive. He's going to pull back again. The Cav's going to come back in, but they're pretty weakened. Over here, my infantry has won the engagements. I had some Chosen that ran away. They're going to chase the Spearmen that were running away. So we have quite a battle going here. And at this point, I noticed that the bar is starting to go in my favor, because even though I started with just a little over half as many men as my opponent had, now I actually have more men on the field, which means the quality of my men is still better, obviously. And now I also have a numeric advantage, so I start to feel pretty hopeful here. I'm doing my best to bring people back into the fight. He's doing the same. You see the Cav coming back, you see the General of the Empire working his way back, and here comes in the Chaos Hounds. I really like the poison effect. I feel it helps quite a bit. This Empire Captain is now being routed. He's trying to flee. This one's still quite strong though, and using both of his abilities. And there's the General of the Empire. So I'm going to go for the General now and try to finish him so as to break their leadership even more. He's down to 182 men, but the leadership's very important. And so we've got a nice exchange going on here. It's easy to pick out Archaon in this fight because of his fiery sword, but the General of the Empire is right here. And unbelievably, he's able to get himself out of that mess. I felt I had enough mass there to hold him in place, but I did not. So I decided, well, I'm not going to chase him halfway across the field with mostly infantry. We'll work on this Empire Captain. And you'll see he's at full health, but his leadership is wavering. He's being attacked from every angle. He's got Archaon on him, which is a pretty scary affair, as well as Chosen and some nasty Chaos Dwarfs going after him. And so he's going to flee, and he's going to take a lot of damage in his effort to go, and he's going to break completely. And as soon as I sent these Warhounds this way, that was enough to bring an end to Sigmar's boys and get a nice win for the Warriors of Chaos. So let's take a look at the tail of the tape. The Chosen were absolutely fantastic. It's clear to see why they were chosen by the Chaos Gods. They can kick butt. They can hang in there a long time. I mean, you saw them take rear charges from Cav, still in there, outnumbered horribly. They still hung in there, so that was really cool. My halberds did well against the Cav, but also against the infantry. They do have armor piercing, which is quite nice. The Hell Cannon, which inexplicably was destroyed. I'm not sure what happened there, but it still got itself another chevron, 91 kills. I don't know how many came from the cannon and how many came from the dwarfs fighting, but I'm guessing most of it's from the cannon. The Warhounds were great. One of them got an extra chevron. They dealt with the missiles, which was fantastic. and still were able to dish out damage to Cav and others. And of course, Archaon did very well. Now, taking a look at my opponent's army, before I say anything, of course, I want to say good game. I really enjoyed the battle. I think his composition was quite good. Some of the micro wasn't ideal, as far as room for improvement, but I really can't fault the army, although I may have put people in the air on this one rather than their cav, but it did give him more spend and allowed him to bring more units. But it looks like a couple of his great swords did well. One of his cav units did well, but the rest of it just did not have a good time going up against the Chosen and the Forces of Chaos. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on the build. How can we improve it? Is it great? Is it good? Is it terrible? Bring it on. Love to talk about it and see what we can do to get better. Until the next time, this is the Magnus. Thanks for your support, and I'll see you.